Wowee, that is some snoz. It's got me feeling some way. Oh shit, I click record. Oh my goodness. Welcome back, fellas. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys the big mistakes that you may be making in Civ 6. Not that I am much of a role model when it comes to this game. I stuck big dookie at this game. But there's a few tips I'd like to give to you guys today. Before we get into the tips, I have exciting news. I've got my first sponsor. My sponsor is my mom. Isn't that right, Mom? Mom? Shit. She'll have to get the milk as well. Alright, after devouring a whole tub of ice cream and crying myself to sleep last night, I am ready to get into the tips. The first tip we have today is where you're settling your first city, and this is probably the most crucial thing you do in the entire game. There's three main components you want to keep in mind when settling your first city. This is the tile you settle on, the first tile you'll be working, and water around your city. Probably the most simple, the water availability can be seen when you click on your settler. If you settle your city next to fresh water, aka a river, you'll get +3 housing in that city to start with. If you settle by a coast, you'll get +1 housing, and if you settle in a grey zone, or pretty much just a zone that doesn't have a water source nearby, you're not going to get any other housing benefits. So ideally you want to be settling on fresh water like a river, as it'll give you 6 housing total, and it'll save you from having to get a granary early on. The second two considerations to settling is the tile you settle on and the first tile you'd be working. As you see here, we have truffles, and we're going to be able to claim all of those resources as you see on the screen. That's why I recommend settling on the luxury resource. Not many people do this because I think they're not going to get the luxury resource, but if you settle on a luxury resource, you'll keep the yields and you'll also get the resource, which is absolutely huge, meaning you can either sell it off early or you can just reap the benefits of the amenities. You also want to consider the first resource you're working. In this case, we see that we have a really solid starting resource where our city is founded, although there's not any great resources that we're going to be working at first. Although we have ticked the first two boxes of having fresh water available and settling on a good spot, and it'll just take a builder and a few improvements on tiles, and this will become a very strong city. Moving on to mistake number 2 is people not scouting for goodie huts and city states early on in the game. As you see here, we found a city state, and we also get a free envoy as we're the first civ to find a city state. I actually only figured this out like a few months ago that you actually get a free envoy if you meet a city state first, so it's very handy if you're wanting to citizen with city states for extra bonuses. And you also want to scout to find goodie huts, also known as travel huts, and find new places to settle your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th city, etc. Moving on to mistake number 3, which I am most definitely a culprit of, and this is being too greedy. For example, going just for buildings, districts, wonders, and expanding cities without getting adequate military like slingers and warriors early on, especially if you're playing on deity. If you get attacked by barbarians, you are getting absolutely clapped. There's so many games that I've had to restart because I went way too greedy at the start, and I absolutely got my booty slapped. And don't get me wrong, sometimes going greedy will pay off in the long run, but I'd say it's like 1 in 3 times when you go greedy it actually pays off. It also depends on like who's near you. If you have city states to defend you and kill barbarians, then you can probably go more greedy. But if you're like I am in this game, kind of just in the middle of nowhere, then you definitely don't want to go greedy. And also if you're playing on deity, the civs are absolute bitches. They are gonna mess you up if you go greedy. They are looking at your military strength very closely, observing it, waiting to go down, and then they are gonna come clap you. And this is a great example of me playing civ like I'm a morbidly obese child, and the districts and builders are Mars bars, and I'm just going after them. I get absolutely swarmed by barbarians. There were literally no barbarians, and then they just appeared out of freaking nowhere. So that's why you don't play civ like a fatty boomba. My standard builder for the majority of civ games is a scout into a slinger into a monument. It's definitely more on the greedy side, but I find most of the time I can avoid dying from barbarians whilst also getting goodie huts and envoys from city states. The fourth mistake is don't lose troops in the early game. Now it's way easier said than done, but it is going to set you back so much if you're losing troops easily in the early game, because to the AI you're just going to be looking like a turkey on Thanksgiving. They're going to absolutely want to devour you because your military strength is going to be super low, and you're going to be wasting productions on extra units instead of getting districts and working towards the victory type you're aiming for. So just like my girlfriend's parents, you want to be as conservative as possible. In saying this though, if you're on deity, you're pretty much bound to lose a few troops at least when fighting barbarian camps, as the rate at which these guys respawn is absolutely crazy. They have some unheard of breeding techniques that we are yet to discover, because so often you'll be so close to clearing that camp and then all of a sudden there's 10 horsemen. Like, I honestly do not understand how they breed It's literally, they must have babies on their horses. They have an army of horse babies, and I still get beaten by barbarians so often. Am I a noob or just an absolute loser? Comment down below how often you've been beaten by barbarians, because this actually could be really sad for me. But to help you not lose as many troops, I always recommend for your first policy to go with discipline, so you get that extra 5 combat strength against barbarians. It will definitely save your ass, and as well as the recon one is just absolutely useless. It is literally the most infuriating thing when I see someone do that. I mean, I could be dumb, and I probably am dumb, but please don't. Please. The 5th mistake is settling too far away from your cities. This is for an abundance of reasons. One being loyalty. If you're settling too far away, the loyalty from your city that you already have isn't going to be great, and you're a lot more likely to lose loyalty to other cities. So if you have a more compact bunch of cities, you're going to have a really strong loyalty. The amount of times I've settled further away in like a -1 or 2 influence zone just to get a certain resource that was in there that looked kind of juicy, and then ended up losing my city for loyalty because it just absolutely turned on me, has happened more times than I can count. But to be fair, I'm not the best at counting. But as you can see in this clip, we're going literally against what I'm saying right now, but that is because there's no other loyalty pressures up north here, and we also have Mount Kilimanjaro, which is giving us really good yields, as you see around the mountain there. And I'd rather get one solid city up by Mount Kilimanjaro than 2 mid-ish cities if I had made the 2 ones closer together. So I really don't have any reason not to settle here. It is only a win. Hopefully this video will help you avoid some of these mistakes, and as my parents have told me so many times, I am a massive mistake, and I'm genuinely concerned that my mom's also gone for the milk now, as my dad left a few years ago, but my mom has also left for the past few days. However, if we can get 50 likes on this video, she said she will come back, so please guys, I beg that we can get 50 likes. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I found myself looking at this guy's nose now for many moons. It is just absolutely scrumptious, juicy, and delicious. I may have a nose fetish, but that's besides the point. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, I love him.